Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to do a repair on a Nintendo 64 controller joystick that has gotten loose and wobbly and has to some degree lost the full motion control that it originally had. Now I've seen a lot of other YouTube videos that promote either replacing the joystick controller completely with a third-party version, which I've done before, and there's a noticeable difference in a third-party controller versus a regular controller. Basically, they didn't fully design them with the full range of motions that the original controller has, and so they're clunky and they just don't offer you all the degrees of motion. And then other videos show a really long process of adding putties and materials that take a long time to dry, and then you have to go back and reshape those materials into the original shapes of the original parts. And it takes a huge degree of preciseness in order to get those correct, and often doesn't work for the average person. They can't do it. For somebody who repairs them all the time, maybe it comes easy to them, but for the average person, they end up getting frustrated and give up on the whole project and end up ruining the controller anyway. So what I'm going to show you guys is a quick and easy repair that requires no additional materials and just a couple of basic tools. So let's get started. You're going to need a heat gun. You're going to need a regular Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need a small tipped Phillips screwdriver, and you're going to need a pair of pliers. So just to explain what I'm going to be doing with a quick visual aid here, there are little swiveling gears inside the controller that end up getting worn out on one or both sides due to how much play you used your controller and all the friction and wearing down of the plastic. So we're basically just going to reheat up the swiveling gear, and we're going to just reshape it on the one side or both sides, depending on what it looks like, and reshape the slot that is perfectly fit with the controller joystick so that it takes away all that extra slack and gap, and that's what causes your stick to get loose and to actually lose some of the full range motion on the far edges of the stick. So just a note though, some have been worn down so much that it gets really thin on the outside edge, and I found that the reheating and reshaping process does not work for that. You end up just bulging out one section of it back in, and it just doesn't work. Unfortunately, there's not enough material there in order to reshape it and get it to nicely reshape and curve back in like this version right here. So all right, we're gonna give it a try here. What I've done is already dismantled a 64 controller, took the joystick out. This particular one, as you can see, just kind of flops all over the place. It's not the worst degree of one that would be laying on the side like that, but it's pretty bad and it's getting there. So we're going to open it up with the small screw, holding it together so it doesn't spring apart and get tighter and harder to unscrew. Alright, once you got that out, you got to flip these two tabs here while you let the whole thing come straight up and out. Alright, so once you open it up, you can see that there's a bunch of dust and debris from the plastic wearing out. So we're just going to dump that out. You can see that the cup, well, you can't see, but The cup is full of this. Full of this stuff here, and you can see that this guy has got a ton of powder all over it. You're going to want to clean all this stuff up, but just for the video here, here's the circuit board that came out. So we're going to set all that stuff to the side here. And here is the spring-loaded second gear cradle here. So you're going to want to press down on it, rotate that out and pull it out. Set that aside. You're going to want to clean these up. Alright. And you're going to want to take the joystick out completely. So what I'm going to show you here is this is where the slop comes from. You can actually see the joystick wobbling and moving inside there. That's what we're going to tighten up by heating up the plastic and squeezing it back into its original shape. Same thing with here. There's a noticeable amount. You can barely see it on the camera. If I get closer, it probably won't zoom in. But you can see that I could turn it left and right. You see all that gapping in there. This is not severely worn down, but it's enough that it just makes the joysticks not work appropriately. So what we're going to want to do is reheat this, pinch it closed again, and just enough to where it smoothly slides back and forth. So here's where the heat gun and the pliers come into play here. Take note that one side may be worn down more than the other, so this side here is actually worn, and this side is still pretty straight. So we're going to focus our heat gun just on this one side. And you only need a few seconds, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. You don't want to overheat it because obviously the plastic will become very limp and it will completely distort the original shape of it, which you want to keep. All you want to do is heat it up a little bit and then clamp it down and press it towards the center, reshaping it back to its original slot form. So you go a few seconds, maybe like 5 seconds. Sometimes you can see the plastic start to get a little wet looking. You definitely want to stop at that point. And then we're just going to, sorry about that, the camera turned off. So after we keep it clamped for a little bit and let it cool down, we're just gonna check to see if our slot is much better shaped now. Make sure everything's sliding appropriately back and forth. It's just the side-to-side gap that you want to get rid of. And it looks pretty good. Sometimes you can't get it perfect, but you want to get rid of most of it. You don't want to make it too tight because then if you can feel it kind of getting snug and catching in spots, that's just going to make your controller actually get stuck in a position where it won't spring back to the middle where it normally does, or you want it to. So now you're going to take the top cradle one too, and I can see that it's kind of worn evenly on both sides, right in the middle. So we're just going to focus heating up both sides, giving it a few seconds, and then we're going to try to pinch it with the edge of the pliers just to concave the center part only. So like I said, you'll notice that the head is tougher to push through, but we've lost all of that slack, most of it. There might be a little bit left, but just make sure that your guy rotates to the left and the right pretty easily. All right, so I mean that's all that one took. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, but you get kind of used to it. So you're going to reassemble the spring. You're going to put this guy through and turn it to the side. Then you're going to face the teeth towards the back here. All right. You're going to get your cup back in place. Put your circuit board back in place. Now, normally I would clean this all out and dry it all off and all that, but just to show the video, you know. All right, and then make sure that the stem bottom fits right into the other slotted gear. Put the screw back. And there you go. So now it's not flopping, and there may be a little bit, just a little bit of wiggle in there, but it's much better, and you still have the springiness of it and full range of motion. And now you've actually restored that extreme motion on it that has your character like running at full speed as opposed to jogging. I'm confident that when I put this back together, it's going to test out just fine. But that's a quick and easy way to get rid of most of the slop, if not all of it, depending on how well you do. And your controller will end up working for, you know, much more playtime and avoids having to replace anything. All right, thanks for watching.